So, why don't you start by maybe telling people why you got fired from the University of Bristol?
So I'm a researcher who has done research on propaganda, lobbying, power in politics for a few decades now. And in 2018, I got a job at the University of Bristol as professor of political sociology. And in 2019, I was doing a lecture as part of the course I was given to teach when I arrived there called Harms of the Powerful, on Islamophobia. And one of the things that I have to say about Islamophobia is that part of the reason why we have Islamophobia is not just the war on terror and the counterterrorism apparatus, which is the main reason why we have Islamophobia, but there are also social movements who help to promote Islamophobia and take it further. And one of those social movements is the Zionist movement. So the Zionist movement is an actually existing set of organizations formed around the government of Israel, but also involving the World Zionist Organization and others, which is intent on suggesting that Muslims are in some way backward and engaged in terrorism and all alike and that's the kind of line which the Israeli government and its allied intellectuals have been pushing for some couple of decades now. In fact, well, more than a couple of decades, back to the mid 80s, actually, when they started saying that Islamists were the problem or Islamic terrorism was the problem. So I pointed out that parts of the Zionist movement are engaged in directly funding Islamophobic groups, which is a strange thing we do in sociology now and again. We refer to matters of fact. This is a matter of fact, which of course I've been able to demonstrate by pointing to references and sources. As a result of saying that in the lecture, some students anonymously approached an Israel lobby group called the Community Security Trust, which claims to be about fighting anti-Semitism in the UK, but which, of course, as we've come to learn, it doesn't want to distinguish between criticism of Israel on the one hand and anti-Semitism or racism against the Jews on the other hand. And so they took a complaint to the university. This led to further complaints from the head of the Bristol University Jewish Society and the president of the Union of Jewish Students nationally in the UK, both of which are, of course, formerly Zionist organizations. They're signed up to organizations which are part of the Zionist movement and affiliated to the World Zionist Organization. And that campaign against me lasted for 2 years. There was an internal examination of whether I had done anything in the least bit anti-Semitic by an external QC. And the QC concluded that there wasn't a single sentence or clause or comma or full stop I'd ever said which was anti-Semitic. And so I was cleared. And 6 weeks after I was cleared, I went on a meeting, a Labour Against the Witch Hunt meeting about the Labour Party and the anti-Semitism, the alleged anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. And I referred to the fact that there'd been a complaint about me. I said, and I can quote this because these are the words etched in my memory. I said that I had been complained about by the head of the Bristol GSOC and by the president of the Union of Jewish Students. And that was enough to set all hell loose. And that I was targeting students at my own university, and this was a disgrace, and I must be sacked. Now, of course, all I was doing was factually referring to the fact that I had been complained about by these particular people who were office bearers in their organizations. And that led to a second examination by QC, which also concluded, big surprise, that I wasn't in any way anti-Semitic. But nevertheless, the university decided that it wasn't the words that I had used that I had been attacked and complained about, but it was the way I had used the words, which was a violation of staff rules to be decent in your conduct with students, etc. Of course, I would point out that when I made these comments at the Labour Against the Witch Hunt Zoom meeting, I wasn't at work. I wasn't in my capacity as a professor of sociology. I was there as a researcher and activist. But nevertheless, they decided that I shouldn't be allowed to say those kind of things outside of work because they, in some way, threatened Jewish students on campus who are members of the Bristol JSOC or of the Union of Jewish Students, said that they were scared as a result of my comments being that I had been. And as a result of that, they determined I should be sacked. I mean, tell the story like this, people will say, well, that can't be true. But that's what happened. Yeah, I was effectively sacked for using the word attacked in the wrong way. They never said what was the wrong way or how I could have used it, but that's what they said. And as a result, I was sacked, and I went through an appeal process, and they rejected that. And I'm now in the process of taking the University of Bristol to industrial tribunal for wrongful dismissal, and that's where we are with that. That will happen probably sometime next spring to summer. It takes a long time. So that's September, August 2021. I was sacked. So we're over a year after that now, and we've still got another nearly a year to go before the hearing.
I'm stunned. I didn't realize the story was this ridiculous. That is completely bonkers, man. Like, I don't know any other way to describe it as crazy. What specifically in the staff rules did they say that you violated? Was there like a specific like clause or phrase that they pointed to?
Well, it was more that Jewish students on campus feel unsafe. That the way I expressed the views, I must have known they would be controversial, and I must have known that I would cause distress. And then, of course, after I'd made those comments and I was attacked across the internet and by trolls and received threats, etc., I wrote an article in the Electronic Intifada some days later, where I referred to the danger that these students who were attacking me, who were members of the Zionist organization, were being used, the danger that they were being used as pawns by the state of Israel, which of course is, I believe, a genuine danger, that students might not know really fully what they're doing. So I was, in a way, I know no one will see it like this from the other side, but in a way I was defending them. I was saying, it might not be the case that these people are fully paid up Zionists and know what they're doing. Some of them are only quite young, and maybe it's the case that they're being used by a hostile foreign power, the state of Israel, to pursue its foreign policy objectives. And of course, there is an alignment between the campaigns they were running and the foreign policy objectives of the state of Israel, which are to ensure that the possibility of criticizing the state of Israel's record in relation to Palestine is curtailed and marginalized as much as possible.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.